KRS was pretty much talking about. I'm just paraphrasing here because you'll be able to see the clip, but he's kind of talking about the age-old conversation about generations and how generations perceive music and advancing the culture and that type of thing, and how people his age feel about hip hop and the reason why they feel that way. Interesting comments for what he said, but once we pull the clip up, I'd like you guys to take a look at it because I feel like this would be looked at as 2020. This immediately will be looked at as hate, and I didn't take it that way. So once Lone gets that clip up, take a look, and I'll be curious to see what y'all think. Keep in mind also that we want to make sure we still get the sponsors in. I know this one could drag on, so just kind of be quick so we can get to.
Let's see here. I'm going to share this. I'm not sure if you guys are going to be able to hear it though. That's the only thing.
Oh, okay. Oh. Hey, there's a stream button. Let's see. All right, I see it. Let's see if I can hear it.
Let's jump down to. Let me turn the sound on.
Oh yeah,
here.
I watched this.
Saw it? Okay.
Let me go ahead and play this for you guys.
About, the criticism again. I'm talking.
You hear that?
I can
hear it.
My man real quick about, the criticism against, I guess, the new styles.
I mean, from trap to whatever,
Right. Those who were there from the beginning and originated something are always trying to hold on to the original ingredients. Now the cat's coming in that says, I want to innovate. I want to decorate. I want to push this whole thing forward. Well, you have the same challenge, but on the other end, because if your innovation and decoration, if it's whack and you're trying to come against the four elements, you're trying to come against icon lyricists and you're whack, well, you're going to get played. And in hip hop, it's terrible because once you get played, your career's over. And once your career's over, your money's gone. And when your money's gone, then that's the end of the game for you right there. You may be able to come back next week if you're part of the culture. But if you like many of these people, it's like, yo, I'm only in it for the money. Well, you bump into somebody like KRS One and you just bought your Serato fresh. And I got 20 years of cutting, mixing, and scratching with DJ 𝐀𝐁𝐎𝐃, DJ Premier, Grandmaster Flash, Marley Marl, DJ Red Alert, of course, DJ Scott LaRock. You're going to get played. You're going to get played. I'm talking to my man real quick about.
So, yeah, that's that.
All right, so that's the clip from KRS One. When I saw this, the comments, you should see some of the comments that were on there. I don't take that as necessarily hating. I don't look at that as hating. I look at that as him speaking his mind, standpoint as someone that was around when this shit started, and the advancement of equipment and things of that nature went around. So he's trained, or mentally in his mind, sees it a certain way. He did not say he was against the evolution. He said in comparison to what they did versus what happens now, there might be a reason as to why he says what he says. So what do y'all think about that? Does that come off as hate, or does that come off as him just explaining his point of view? Because I didn't hear this. Lone, I'm coming to you first. What'd you think about that?
I don't think you should come to me first. No, what I'll say is, no, I get what KRS is saying. And a lot of the older cats like this are like this, and I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. They're just very protective of the thing that they're a part of building. To me, the only thing that stands out to me on these type of conversations from the old heads is them thinking that them clowning the younger artists matter. That doesn't matter. They're gonna still do whatever they're gonna do. You have some of the older cats, the legends are going to be like to pass the torch in a sense, depending on what exactly we're talking about. But I mean, the younger generation is just taking stuff and rolling with it. And if we've learned anything in the last handful of years, who cares if people they don't care if they're whack because they have fans, True. So
True.
No, that's my initial take, but I'll see what you guys say, and maybe I'll have something else to say.
I'm not mad at that. I can't see Jay Moore. Is he still in here? He's got the purple squares. I can't see him.
We'll go to Terry.
Jump in there, man. What'd you think about it? Or did you just freeze? Uh-oh. I think Terry's got I see a mute button on you, bro. Did you unmute it?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
There you go. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Jump it.
Okay.
Yeah, I got you. Jump in there, Terry. Did you get a hate vibe, or did you get an OG just telling his perspective vibe?
I mean, I think it's not a conversation that hasn't been had before, as far as the OGs and kind of talking to younger cats in a sense, because I mean, even and we've had this discussion too, as far as hip hop being the only genre that the youngsters and the older cats aren't on common ground. It doesn't seem like in rock and roll, you don't hear new people that are coming out that are doing rock and roll, and the older ones kind of going at each other. I mean, you kind of had it with like Nirvana. I think they had some issues with Guns N' Roses or something at one point.
Okay.
I don't know if y'all remember that, but it's not an ongoing thing, and I think it is with hip hop. It's even I don't know if y'all seen the Young Thug interview when he was talking about Jay-Z not having 40 hits that a crowd or a concert will be singing at the same time, and he does. But he corrected himself real quick because he already knew he didn't want that smoke. There's no way Jay-Z don't have 40 hits. He's touring. He's stadium touring.
I think
you know what I'm saying. He's on a whole nother level. That's a whole nother level of respect.
Yeah.
You said what?
He said 30.
30? Well, all right, 40.
Well, either way, yeah.
he has more than 30. You know, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That's 10. We talking about Jay-Z. Somebody has been in the game since what, 90? Well, actually before that, because if you count Hawaiian Sophie, that was in the 80s. But as far as Jay-Z being an artist by himself, with 95, 96, you know what I'm saying? So he definitely has 40 hits that he could tour with. I understand what KRS One is saying. I don't necessarily think it's a diss either. I think it's just him kind of just talking from a KRS point of view. Simple as that.
Got you.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can dig it. The only reason I said it was a little different is because normally when you hear the conversation, it's kind of them versus us versus them. Like he actually came at it from a standpoint of the craft and what he was around. Like that's what stood out to me on this one. That's the only thing that made it a little different. Like he actually was just justifying it based off being one of the originators and what it was like then versus now. I just didn't get the hate vibe. I really didn't get a hate vibe.
I didn't necessarily get a hate vibe, but I got a vibe that was like kind of like elitist in a way. Like
KRS always, to your point, I think he always kind of comes across as an elitist, to be honest with you.
And
I do agree with you on that.
And the fact that Pete Rock reblogged it doesn't surprise me because Pete Rock does the same thing. So those are, two older cats that talk about this type of thing on a regular basis. So I don't know.
To me, you know what I think it kind of stems from? I think that some of the older cats feel slighted that the younger cats don't reach out to them to collab or they don't shout them out in certain songs and blah, blah, blah. I think that's one of the problems that a lot of artists like KRS One or Ninth Wonder have with these younger artists.
You think
I think a lot of these younger artists don't even know much about KRS One and Ninth Wonder.
Oh,
and that's just simple truth. Because even when Lil Bo or Lil Yachty came out, remember he was saying he didn't know much about Biggie.
Yep.
And that's all with who your parents are and who they listen to. You know what I'm saying? So you can't necessarily blame it on the kids. I mean, I know I came from a situation where I pretty much set out my own music as far as hip hop was concerned. But at the same time, um, I didn't listen to everything, so I can't really sit here and say that I was hip and listening to every single thing that came out. But I will say that I have a good knowledge of the good shit, at least in my
Right.
honest opinion. So
Right.
Jay, do you have volume? I'm just curious.
Check one. Can you hear me?
There he
Yep.
is.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I just had to restart the system here, so we're good. No, but I've
Right.
listened to everything that everyone said. Look, a lot of times I love KRS One. I'm from that era, but we cannot be so afraid of what the young cats are doing that we just automatically say, oh, that's not hip hop. That's not this. This is not that. At the same time, it does bother me that we are, as a culture, we have such disregard for the people who came before us. Because also, as somebody who loves R&B, and I talked about this last week, is like, I'm born in 1977, but I know the Motown era. I know Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. I know Blue Magic, and just because I love New Edition, like I and that was my group, going into the Guy and going Boys to Men and Jodeci. I wanted to see where they got their influence from. I just didn't act like, oh, this music that came before, it's boring or I don't get it, so I'm just going to dismiss it. Like, I think that's where some of the hate comes from. That and I'm just using Young Thug because he's in the news right now for saying that he got more stadium hits than Jay-Z, which is crazy. But
I think that was just clout. He got an album coming out, in my opinion.
You wind up, for whatever reason, whoever the new generation of hip hop is, they wind up. It's almost like they're so willfully ignorant about what came before, and it's almost like they wear that ignorance as a badge of honor. So I think that's the problem. I think maybe the KRS One, and I could be wrong. I'm not trying to put words into his mouth, or Pete Rock or Ninth Wonder, but that's where I think a lot of the frustration comes from. That there are artists today, and you ask them like, "Oh, what do you know about Raekwon? What do you know about Ghostface Killer?" And they're like, "I don't know anything about that shit." You know what I'm saying? It's like they're so happy to be ignorant.
And they're so dismissive. They're so dismissive when they do it.
Like, it's crazy. One of my favorite things to watch on YouTube, there's this young kid, he might be 19, and to see, and he goes through and he listens to not old, but like hip hop records from my era. Like he played Break of Dawn by De La Soul and lost his mind. Like, he was like, I don't know who these cats are, but they're incredible. I'm gonna have to do my research on them. You know what I'm saying? And like, I think that's the thing that we don't with this new generation. They only care about what's hot right now. Like, they don't even have respect for somebody who's got money like Jay. It's not even about money.
Yeah,
it's just about like, I don't feel that because it's not my era.
I think part of the problem too is not just on the youth or the young up and comers. I think
Jeopardy music.
We have a.
Can you hear me?
Jeopardy music.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Yeah. Okay. Shout out to them CBS earbuds.
Hey, we're working though.
Hey, but not what I was saying. It's not all on the up and coming artists. It's partly to do with some of the older artists not being OGs and cultivating these artists, or people trying to come up under them, kind of giving them the guidance, but letting them swim on their own. And I think that's where a lot of the disrespect comes from younger artists, because they feel like they're not getting assistance or aid. You know what I'm saying? That it's not the same. There's no torch being handed, so to speak.
I think there's a pause. There's a pause. There's a pause in your audio, bro.
You're jumping in and out like every 2 seconds, but I agree with that. I think if we're going to compare, like if the one thing that I will say is I feel like it's on the older or the elder generation in general to to guide the younger generation more so than vice versa.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's why I think it's always kind of bad taste whenever I see like old heads like get mad at younger cats.
Definitely.
And, you know, and a lot of times they want to say things like, well, they didn't pay homage. I'm like, well, did you reach out to them? You know, like,
Oh yeah.
so that's, I don't know. That's kind of where I'm coming from it, but I get it. I mean, I
think what
understand
gets-
the frustration, but it's like, you know, it's
I think what
accountability
gets
on both sides.
I think what gets lost in translation is also it gets confused because I feel like two things that are fused together is paying homage and then also criticism, or not criticism, but constructive criticism or critiquing. Because whenever a OG is, you know, kind of looking for, I guess, some love or even not reaching out for the love, that always gets confused with their hating. And that's the part to me that always gets lost, because anytime an older person says anything addressing a newer generation, and it could not even be hate, it could be just the quality of music doesn't, you know, resonate with them and they think it's trash. Like that's we're in an opinion era. Like everybody's opinion now is hate. In 2020, if I say I don't like it, that don't mean that I'm hating. That's one of my favorite bars from Common. I'm like, yo, man, it's trash. It ain't for me, man. But hey, y'all rock with it. It's cool.
You just said it was trash.
As a hater.
You just called
Trash
it trash
to me.
Right, but that is hating, isn't it?
It's trash a little harsh. Is that a little harsh?
Trash might be a little harsh.
So
but
what if I said I don't like it, man? It's just not for me. But you know, to each his own. Do your thing. Is that better?
I mean, I think
that's better. That's better than saying trash.
Maybe I can phrase it better.
Dismissing something like,
Yeah,
look,
I mean,
if I say it's trash,
It's language.
okay,
It's
that's
language,
fair.
right?
Okay,
Look,
okay,
I'll
that's
be
fair.
I'm, you know, of course, y'all know I'm still in the clubs, you know, getting my little money the way I can, and I hate that Megan Thee Stallion record, Body. That shit is not that. I don't like that record at all. I think it's terrible.
I'll never
But
listen to that song again.
Also, I'm 43 years old. I'm a man, but when I see there's a whole bunch of girls in the club,
Yes,
and shout out
sir.
to brother to the night who's in the chat room, and we're working together, I'll
Yes,
be like,
sir.
yo, it's time to drop that, because like
Yep.
my whole thing is there's a difference between do I like it or will it work? Because if I had to go off of will I like it, I wouldn't be able to get money the way I'm able to get money. Like if I just played the stuff I like, the only night I'd do is Take That Tuesday.
If you've enjoyed this segment of the New Old Heads podcast, make sure to join our live show every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern at twitch.tv/bringingdowntheband, and join our private Discord community with talks on hip-hop, music, news, and everything else.